This is the best defensive playbook in Madden NFL 26, and we are in the Minnesota Vikings defensive playbook. Now, if you watch until the end of the breakdown here, we're going to show you a ton of ways that make a ton of reasons as to not only why this is the best defensive playbook, but actually how to use and run a lot of the defenses in this playbook. Now, what's really cool about the Minnesota defensive playbook is they have a plethora of really, really good defensive formations that are not only good in Madden 26, but they're actually pretty good in almost any year of Madden that you are playing. So I'm going to go through and break down some of these formations. As you can see right here, we have this 3-4 odd. 3-4 odd is there's always a way to run a 3-4 odd defense, and it's no different in this game. We're going to show you exactly how to run it a little bit later in the video. But as you can see, you have a full 3-4 odd. You have 3-4 under, which this formation has this weak blitz 3, kind of a unique style of blitzing concept that you can do out of it. 3-4 even is a lot better this year than it was last year. Really good defensive formation that has the capability to send pressure right, left, and through the middle. And then you come into the 4-3 even 6-1, which we know that this is just a foundation, fundamental formation that is good every single year in Madden. It is also traditionally one of the best red zone defenses, as it has a great way to consistently stop the run while also getting good pressure against the pass and having a symmetrical alignment that is great for switch stick optimization. So you have a really good 3-4, you have a really good 4-3, and then you have this 3-3-5 overflex, which there is actually some ways to run this defense in this year's game. And there is, I think, more so than ever, these 4-down lineman type formations are really, really effective. And we're going to show you again how to run this a little bit later. But we have that. We also have a nickel 2-4, which is nickel 2-4 is a little similar to the other one, but good formation here. You have this 3-3 load mug. This defense does a lot of things well. It's kind of almost like, to a degree, can be kind of ran like a nickel triple style of formation. But now we kind of get into some of the bread and butter of the Minnesota playbook and what makes it so special as a defensive playbook. As you can see here, we have the 3-3 single mug, super effective defensive formation in this game. You're going to be able to get consistent pressure, sending 4, 5, or 6, potentially even 3 out of this defense. You have the 3-3 double mug, which is a great formation, just a solid fundamental formation in this year's game. Again, able to send 3, 4, 5, or 6, which is really important. You want a lot of blitzing flexibility this year because there are a lot of different types of blitzes that you want to use situationally, and this 3-3 double mug comes equipped with all of the blitzes that you need. 3-3 odd. This is a great formation year in and year out. They're, again, kind of similar to 3-4 odd. There's always a way, an effective way to run this defense. No different in this year's game. There's a lot of cool stuff you could do out of 3-3 odd, and I do think that this is one of the most underrated formations in the entire game. You have the entire blitzing menu that you could want. Very, very good formation here. We know that 3-3 Cub year in and year out is one of the best balanced, most overall formations that you can utilize to both stop the run and stop the pass. It is just a very good nickel formation that's going to do a really good job against what most people want to do on the offensive side of the ball. Now we get into this dime, and I think this is what really sets the Minnesota playbook apart. We have a good 6-1, we have a good 3-4, we have good nickel, but if you take a look at their dime sets, they have some really unique things that you can do from their dime defense. For example, this dime 2-3-6 is very, very good. You could run this kind of to a degree like a dime normal type of formation, and you can use your send 4 and your switch stick, and then your coverage optimizations within this. You have a 1-4 double mug, which is a very unique formation in this year's game, and I think a very slept on formation because of the alignment that it can offer against some of the meta formations. You also have the dime 1-4. 1-4, 1-4-6, historically one of the best defenses in Madden every single year. That is no different in this year's game, as it features some of the best loop blitzes in the entire game. Good pressure, great coverage, and a symmetrical formation that you can switch stick out of. And then you have this dime 2-3 Sam. This is a formation that is gaining traction. It's a little bit like a dollar type of formation, a little bit better than 1-4-6 for some specific things, 1-4-6 a little bit better for other things, but you have both formations in this playbook and an ability to kind of scheme around that. So those are the best formations, in my opinion, in the Minnesota Vikings defensive playbook. And now we're going to go ahead and get on the field and show you how to actually run these defenses. So as we're getting on the field here, if you want to see any of these defenses completely broken down in depth, make sure that you join our school community. That's where you get access to all of my full offensive and defensive ebooks for both Madden and for college football. So if you guys want to get better at both games, it's only $10 and it gets you access to everything. That link is going to be in the description down below. Now I'm going to start out with the 3-3 double mug because this defense is unbelievably effective in this year's game. And I think one of the best ways to actually run it is to base out of a Tampa 2. Now, one of the easiest things that you can do is simply just run the Texas 4-man stunt. And the way that you would do that is you're going to hold down on that Tampa 2 icon and you're going to select the Texas 4-man stunt. Now, the only setup for this is you're literally just going to spread your line and spread your linebackers. And then what I like to do is user this mid read kind of over the center like this. And I'm going to bluff a couple of blitzes here because what I can do from this look is I can send 5, I could send 4, I could send 4 in 2 different ways, and I could have my stunt. So what I like to do is I like to pull up the stunt menu. You do that by hitting left on the D-pad and the R1 button, and then you can hold your joystick completely up. At the snap of the ball, you're just burst into coverage. And as you see, this Texas 4-man stunt is really, really good. It's a great stunt. It's great pressure that you're going to be able to get. Now, the other thing that you can do is, let's say that you're spreading your linebackers consistently here. You're going to see that this linebacker is going to be able to blitz in. If I slant my line inside like this, I'm going to hover over the top. And this time I'm actually going to run into the center. And you're going to see that we're going to be able to get pressure just sending 5 people. Now, what's really cool about this blitz is if you run it like so, you can actually drop the backside guy into coverage, the backside defensive end. So you see here, now we're able to put a little bit more coverage on the field. And again, I'm just going to hit the center. I'm going to pop off the center. And a lot of times this is going to come free. I think I accidentally pinched my defensive line. So we'll try that one more time. And you should see that I can get this center to take a step to the right side. And we should be able to, get this pressure. I keep messing that up. Let me try that one more time. I don't know. Maybe they patched this. No, they did not. Okay, perfect. So boom. And you see pop off, and then he's able to typically come in free off that left side gap. You could also do this to the other side. So for example, let's say I wanted to use her over here. Again, you've got to crash your D line, but now you see we're able to put a little bit more coverage here to that left side. And we're just going to pop onto the center and pop off. And a lot of times this potentially can come in. So that is one way you can do it. Another way that you could do it, and one of the ways that I love to run this defense, is to shift my linebackers to the right, and then we're going to slide our line inside like this. And now we're actually going to kind of creep on this slot corner like so. And then really you can kind of use her however you see fit. But what makes this really good is that you will get this A-gap pressure against 5 out consistently, a little bit more consistently than if you use with the linebacker. As you see, really, really good pressure. And then you can always give them this look right here. Now, my personal favorite way to run this defense is to use the slot corner, just because I feel like that gives you the most amount of coverage flexibility within your defense. Now, what you're going to see is we're going to do that same trick. This time, we're just going to run out, and we're going to Texas 4-man stunt. Another thing that a lot of people will do, depending on, kind of how you're blitzing out of the double mug defense, is they will slide protect different ways for different reasons. One of the ones that I've seen is they will actually slide protect with a half slide to the left side. So what I'll do is I'll send just a simple spread D line, slant inside, and QB contain rush. And a lot of times what can happen is you can actually get one of your defensive ends to just walk in against that type of protection. So when they start to overcompensate for the Texas 4-man stunt, then you're able to come back with your base defensive rush, which is going to get good pressure at the opponent. Now, another way that you can also kind of counter it is every now and then you just want to send 6. And the reason why you want to send 6 is because if they're consistently sending 5 receivers out on a route, then you're going to have a really, really good chance at being able to play good defense here. See, we're going to cover everything quick, and we're going to get good, quick pressure at the quarterback. You don't want to send 6 a ton, but situationally, it could be a really good way to kind of mix this up. Now, the other thing that you can do out of this double mug style of defense is you can send 3. Now, the best way to send 3, in my opinion, when you're running the double mug defense, is you're going to drop both of your defensive ends into coverage. You're going to blitz one of these linebackers, and then you're going to blitz the other both of the defensive tackles. So you're going to see here, we're going to do a defense that looks kind of like this, for example. And the whole purpose of this is to attack a blocked running back because we're giving a send 6 look. We're anticipating that they block a running back. And here you see they are going to block the running back. What happens a lot of times is that linebacker will get a one-on-one with the running back, and sometimes he can instantly shed him and get a sack. It's just a great way to play kind of a maximum coverage situation against against your opponent. Another thing that you could do with the double mug defense that I think makes this a really good defense in this game is you can counter the quarterback rollout. The way that you want to counter the quarterback rollouts in this game is you want to have a Texas stunt off of the side opposite of the rollout side. So typically the quarterbacks are going to want to roll out to their strong throwing shoulder side. So if they're a right-handed quarterback, they're going to want to roll right. If they're a left-handed quarterback, they're going to roll left. So what I'll do is I'll hold down the menu and I'm going to go pick a left Texas two-man stunt because I know that Jordan Love is more likely to roll right as opposed to rolling to the left side. So as you'll see here, we're going to set up our stunt defense and they're probably thinking, okay, all I have to do is maybe double team and roll out to the right side here. But you'll see if I instantly try to roll out, now the contain is going to be available to be there, and you're going to be able to kind of contain the pocket and keep them in the middle of the field. Those are some of the best ways to blitz out of the double mug defense. And now I want to spend a few minutes talking about the single mug. The reason that the single mug is such a good defense in this year's game is it's a little bit better in terms of the actual Texas four-man stunt. For whatever reason, I feel like single mug is going to get a little bit better of a Texas four-man loop than other defenses in this game. So we're still going to be able to run that Texas four-man stunt, and we're just going to spread our line. And now you see it's pretty much set up for us to user this linebacker, and I like to run immediately out. And you see there's that Texas four-man stunt creating havoc and pressure at our opponent. And one of the most common ways that people like to block the Texas four-man stunt is to just double team this left of screen defensive end. What you're going to see here is if I do that, a lot of times this will block the Texas four-man, as you can see. And now we're basically to a point where we're relying on our sheds to be able to get pressure at our opponent. So one of the best things that you can do is whenever they start to double team that defensive end consistently, there's really a couple of things that you can do. The first thing that you can do is you can just simply spread slant line inside and QB contain like this. And a lot of times you're going to see here that we can create different types of pressures that can come home at the quarterback. So the other thing that makes this single mug defense, I think, really, really effective is the send 5. So what you're able to do with this defense is if you crash your defensive line inside, you are going to be able to just blitz your linebackers just like this. And just kind of like in the double mug, you're going to get a little bit more consistency from this pressure. You're going to see here, if I set my user up, I'm going to block, and then you see we're going to get that pressure off the left-hand side. Now, again, the big key to this defense is you want to be spreading your defensive line, slanting inside, and then from there, you can adjust your coverage however you see fit. And what you'll see is if I hit the center, this backer is going to come in consistently within this defense. Now, I'll show you something else I think is actually really, really good that a lot of people don't do out of single mug that I think they should. What you're going to do is you're going to actually manually kind of slide this linebacker over here to the side. So you're creating kind of a crossfire style of loop blitz. And then all you're going to do on this is you're going to drop both defensive ends into coverage, and you're going to QB contain. You see that when you QB contain, it's going to change that blitz angle, and it's going to make that a B gap blitz angle. And you'll see right here that a lot of times this can loop pretty consistently in this defense. Now, if you want to make it a little bit easier on yourself, you can simply just shift the linebackers to that side. It's only going to move that one guy, and then you're going to be good to go. Now, the big thing is you want to obviously shift after you spread your defensive line, but this allows you to get a little bit more coverage on the field in this defense, which I think is extremely, extremely valuable. Of course, I think one of the best ways to do this is a bluff blitz on this left-hand side. You'll see that that 3-rec hook is really, really good at just defending a lot of different things. And then there you see there's that loop blitz trying to come in off of a send 4. So you have a good send 4 blitz. You have a good send 5 blitz. One of the other ways that I like to send 5 from this defense is to just blitz this guy. I'm going to creep on this right here. And, maybe I'll like pretend like I'm going to move him and then I'm going to creep. What happens a lot of times is they will set up protection for the loop blitz. So they'll do like a base protection, which is not very good against the Texas 4-man. It kind of randomly picked it up right there. But a lot of times this will trigger that 5-man to be able to come in. Another thing that I think is really good in this game is just bluffing the different blitzes you could do. So for example, maybe we'll just send 4 just like this. And now you've got your Texas 4-man stunt being able to work within the defense. So that is the nickel 3-3 single mug. In my opinion, really one of the best all-around defenses in this year's game. Now, as far as our other defenses that we have here, we have this nickel 2-3 Sam. One of the big things that I recommend is putting a safety in the linebacker spot on the right side of the screen. For this defense, we're going to turn auto flip off. And also, if you want kind of the best coaching adjustments really for any formation, is going to be defensive motion response disabled, option read key conservative, option pitch key aggressive, RPO read key conservative, RPO pass key conservative. Then you're going to come down here. And some people like to put their flats on 10. Don't necessarily really recommend that. I do like to put my hooks on 5. And then safety depth, we're going to go pinch or close. And width, we're going to go pinch. This is going to really help with seam streak protection. Now, what we're going to do from this dime 2-3 Sam is we're going to use this play strong safety zone blitz. This is got a really good blitz angle from the right of screen linebacker. So all you're going to do to set this blitz up is you're just going to slant your line to the right. You're going to QB contain, and then you can put that safety in whatever assignment you want. Other cool part about this blitz is you don't have to really use her any way whatsoever, and you're going to see that this is one of the most consistent send for loop blitzes in the entire game. It's very simple to run. It's very, very hard, honestly, to consistently block. That was empty protection. Base protection will do a little bit better of a job, but sometimes this will still come in against empty or against base protection. Just sometimes practice mode can be a little finicky, but this is a really good send for blitz that you have access to. Now, the other thing that you could do with this defense is, let's say that maybe they're doing some pass protection and they're actually starting to block this blitz a lot. What I would recommend is putting your user on a hard flat and then blitzing the slot corner on the left side. I know it looks a little odd, but this is still going to be very effective. And you're going to see here that this is going to mean that if they do block certain types of protections, you're going to get that guy to come in consistently at the quarterback. So you're able to send 4, you're able to set up a send 5 out of that same exact look, which is really the hallmark, I think, of great defense, having the same or having different types of pressures from the same pre-snap look. Making every single defense look identical is the key to defense in this game, right? Make sure that your max coverage defense looks exactly like your pressure defense. And what's also really nice about this specific defense is really easy to set up, because literally the strong safety kind of puts himself in a pretty good spot here, and then you're able to just basically play cover 4. And then obviously if you wanted to adjust your cover 4, you could play cover 3 cloud like this, or you could play cover 2 like this against maybe like a nasty alignment. You could do something like this as well. These are ways to play good defense regardless of what they're doing offensively. They're just easily adjustable shells, which is really, really valuable from a dollar type of look, because it is a symmetrical look as well. So we'll see if we can get this to come in against base protection here. Again, the biggest thing is you've got to slant your line to the right. If you want to spread your D line, I don't really recommend that, because you see that moves the D tackle. But in general, we'll just see if we can get this thing to pop against base. And the guard did a good job right there of actually picking that up. But in general, this is a really, really good loop blitz that you have. I'll show you one other thing that you have in this that a lot of people don't actually, I don't know, I guess people just don't realize that they can do. What you can also do out of this is you can come out in a different blitz angle from that right of screen guy. So one of the best ways to do this is to kind of tweak with your stuff. So what you can do is overload 3 seam press. And if you slant your line to the right, you see there, we're going to get that same type of blitz angle, but the safety is not going to move. And so you have that A-gap blitz angle, which is really, really good. Okay. Now, the other thing that you can do here is, if you wanted to, you could move this guy to the side. Now, the reason why that might be an effective strategy is because it allows us to do 2 different types of loop blitzes that are, traditionally really effective. If you call, let's say, like a cover 2 spy, and blitz this guy and walk him over, you see that he stays in this B gap blitz angle range, which can be really good for looping, the guard or something like that. So that's another little layer that you can kind of add onto things. Or if you go zero blitz where you have this stock blitz angle, it's a little bit better. And you'll see here, the biggest thing is you have to contain your defensive line to make these loop blitzes good this year. But a lot of times that could potentially loop that guard. So all I'm saying is it's just another way to kind of add a layer onto what you're already doing. If you're in this overload 3 seam, you'll see that if I blitz my linebacker, he's going to stay in that B gap if I move him over here. So what I might do would be something like this, and then I'm going to kind of creep on this guy. And the benefit of this is they might set up, pass protection for the A gap, but then the B gap loop is something they still have to worry about as well. So anyways, just gives you a couple of different ways to run different loop blitzes situationally based off what you want to do. But that is the dime 2-3 Sam defense, and kind of the best ways to set it up. Now, I wanted to spend a little bit of time talking about this dime 1-4. This dime 1-4 is really good. What I recommend when running the 1-4-6 is turning autoflip off, and I actually would flip the formation. I think the formation is better if you run it flipped, and you're going to see here, I'm going to put that same, I like to put safeties in both linebacker spots if I'm running 1-4-6 so that I can get a little better agility, but I'm just going to flip crossfire, and you're going to see here that this is a B gap loop blitz angle. All you're going to do to set this up is you're just going to pinch your D line in QB contain, and then you are going to set your coverage adjustments up however you see fit. I will also, whenever I'm running 1-4-6, I'll typically move my user over in this area, helps with the run shoots. But you see, this is really consistent at looping that tackle, looping that guard there on the right side. Now, the beauty of 1-4-6 is you can go off of either side. So what I could do here is I could, basically leave the defense just like this. I'm not going to move my user or anything. I'm just going to immediately run backwards, and you'll see that this loop blitz can still work. The reason that this is helpful is because situationally, they'll eventually start to set up pass protection for the right side loop, and then you can actually run the left side loop. So that's why you don't want to move anybody, because it gives you the flexibility to be able to run 2 different styles of loop blitz. And here you'll see I'm just going to run out of there, and a lot of times we'll be able to get this guy home on the left side. One of the other things that I will do very, very situationally is I would actually flip my play at the play call screen, because you see how there's a subtle movement of these linebackers. The best blitz is the blitz that is on the side of this linebacker that kind of stunts a little bit, moves a little bit inside. So just keep that in mind here. But what you'll see is, again, it looks pretty much closely the same to the naked eye, but that loop is very clearly, far and away, a better way to loop out of this defense. And this is the dime 1-4-6. Now, the other thing that you have in here is you have a Tampa 2. What's nice about Tampa 2 is if you flip the Tampa 2, you're going to notice that this guy right here is in that A-gap blitz angle. So if I move him over, I now have an A-gap blitz angle out of dime 1-4-6. Now, I'd want to pinch my line first, but I have that same A-gap blitz angle now, and you're going to see that that is the A-gap blitz angle. So you have a B-gap crossfire, and you have an A-gap blitz angle that you can use. What's nice about this Tampa 2 is if you flip it, you can slant your line, and you'll see here, you'll see here that this creates the crossfire. So just like that, you have an A-gap blitz and a B-gap blitz based off how you want to kind of, and how you want to use it. You also have crossfire off of both sides. In my opinion, the best crossfire would be this one right here, and you should see pretty consistent pressure off that right side. Now, I will say too that if you flip the play, then looping from right to left, I would flip the play in the play call screen so they can't really tell what you're doing. But you have to pinch, you have to contain, and this thing will scream at them on the loop. Okay? Really good defense. That's a crossfire defense in the Vikings playbook. That's a 1-4-6. Very, very effective. Now, I wanted to get into some of the other formations that you have access to. And that is the first one that I wanted to go over is this 3-3 odd. What's nice about this 3-3 odd is it has a lot of different ways in which it can be ran, and there are a lot of different things that you can do from this. One of the most effective things you can do with 3-3 odd is actually go ahead and turn your auto flip off and you are going to come out in this play hot blitz bail. Now, the biggest key to running this defense is you want to basically press your coverage or something to get these safeties kind of not like crazy press, because they do put the safeties in a really weird spot, but the blitz itself is really that good. So what I want to do from a coverage perspective here is I would want to have, kind of a basic send 5 coverage shell like this. And then what you're going to see is we have that A gap blitz angle on the right, and that A gap blitz angle is going to consistently come in if they send 5 receivers out. This A gap blitz angle is going to be pretty consistent for you. If you want to spread your D line, you can do that. I would just move this safety out. I think that's kind of the main thing here. But in general, you'll see that this is going to scream against 5 out. One of the other things that you can do with this defense is you can just zone out like so. And kind of hover right in here. And you see pretty clean pressure for when they send 5 out. The other thing that's nice about this hot blitz is you can pretty much run the entire defensive system out of this right here. So one of the easy things you can do is slant your line to the right. You see that's going to create a crossfire loop. And now we're going to have an A-gap loop right here from right to left. And we know that that is, normally a pretty consistent way to loop in this game from right to left. So you have that one. The other one that you have as far as like A-gap loops in general is, if you look here, I'm going to just slant my line to the right side, and we'll actually leave this DN on his blitz angle. And you'll see here, there's that loop. Didn't quite come in like I wanted it to right there, but that's all right. And then we'll cover some other stuff as well from this. One of the other things you could do from this defense is kind of similar to the Dom 146. If you move this guy, you see how he stays on his blitz angle, and then you can just contain. If I need to drop this guy on the right side in coverage, I can do that. But this gives me a B-gap blitz angle, which is really good against 5 out in this year's game. So you have the ability to send the straight down A-gap pressure. You also have the ability to send loop pressure. And then, if I wanted to, another thing that I could do is bluff blitz this guy on the left side. And a lot of times this will still come in against 5 out. That's a 4-man A-gap pressure that's coming in consistently against 5 out on a route. A couple other things I want to cover as far as this defense goes. One of them is what to do against like a trips formation, which I'm actually going to flip the trips so I don't have to flip on the hash marks. But basically, let's just do a 5 out from a trips look. If you are in the Tampa 2 coverage shell to cover 2 like that, you see here that these linebackers, whoops, I'm sorry, I messed up my auto flip. I'm going to leave auto flip on when I run this. So if I come out in cover 2 shell, when they come out in the trips tight end, that's going to mess up all the alignment stuff. You're going to see that these 2 linebackers on the left side, they stay stacked like that. And then the mid read bounces to the outside, which would be my user. So I can easily just pop him right into this spot right here. What I like to do is I like to blitz this, just literally straight blitz your linebackers down and then slant your D line to the right side, just like this. And then you can put your user on whatever coverage assignment that you want to. So if I want to, just however you want to cover. So it would maybe look something like this. But what's nice about this defense is that this is that same type of principle, but from a little bit better alignment. And you're going to get this consistent A-gap rush against 5 out on a pattern. And we'll try to show that one more time here. And I like to contain this. I think it's a little bit more helpful. And you kind of want to hover like right by the center so that he takes a step to the right. But you'll see that Tampa 2 blitz should be able to come in a little bit more consistently than that. Let's actually spread the D-line out here. And, of course, that messes that up. Kind of surprised that they're having that much success at actually blocking this. For some reason, that guard is kind of hugging that right side weirdly. But anyway, that gives you kind of the same idea that you were using. And then if you wanted to, like, let's say you want to take this guy on the right side, you can drop him in a hook to the right like that. And then this allows you to have a lot more coverage just in terms of how this, might shape up something like this. And like I said, you want to be kind of over in here. You see it's trying to come in on that left side. So bottom line is that's one way to blitz out of this against 5 out. That's actually pretty good. Another thing you could do, old school type of way to run 3-3-5 odd, is call this cover 2, and then you blitz him, and then you're going to move him here. That creates an A gap loop, and then you can actually oftentimes zone these guys out, and now you see you've got a loop blitz within your defense. So those are some different ways in which I like to run 3-5 odd, and some of the different principles thereby that I get pressure from that defense. Other formation I want to go over just real briefly is this nickel over flex. I think that this formation is really slept on, and there are actually some really cool things that you can do to get pressure from it. It's really going to be centered around this play, hot blitz 3. And what you're going to do is you're going to show blitz your linebackers. Whoops. Oh, I don't know why we're doing that. Okay, let's turn auto flip off. um, let's take a look here. So what you want to do is you just want to basically get your linebackers down. You see show blitz your linebackers, see how they go down in the gap like that. And then again, you can use a really either linebacker or the middle guy, either way, but you're just going to spread your D line like this. And then I'm going to QB contain. And typically what'll happen is you will get at least one of these guys, if not both of these guys, coming in consistently at the quarterback. What I normally like to do is I normally like to loop the side that is opposite of the tight end. So for example here, which is why I think it makes most sense to use the nickel corner in this defense. But let's say we're playing a formation like this, for example, we would just want to send it off of this left side. What's nice about this defense, forgive my coverage adjustments, but what's nice about this defense is you don't actually have to send 5 to be able to get pressure against 5 out. You can send 4, and hopefully we'll be able to show you here. So again, spread, blitz the linebackers down just like this, and then we're just going to QB contain, and we're going to drop that left side out. And then you want to stand like kind of right in here, pull the center to the right a step, and you see that that thing will scream in against 5 out. The other thing that's really good about this style of blitzing in this year's game is it's really, really good situationally, because you can, if they run like a base pass protection, which is normally a really good way to block blitzes, it doesn't always block this blitz. As you see, we're still able to scream against 5 out. So they have to block somebody against this, which is what makes this a very good option for your defense. So that is the overflex. A couple ways that I like to run that defense. And then really the only other one that I felt like I really wanted to hit on is going to be this 6-1 as far as a pressure style. The best way to run 6-1 right now is to essentially use the Texas 4-man. So you're going to come out and cover 4 quarters with a Texas 4-man stunt. You're going to spread your D line, and then you're going to always use this linebacker here. What I like to do is spread my linebackers as well. I do think that that's helpful. And then you can just blitz this guy on the left side, QB contain, like so. And what you'll see here is you're going to get that edge pressure off of that left-hand side. Now, another way that you could do this with 6-1 is sometimes that Texas 4-man doesn't register if they're not spread out. So if you spread out like this, now you can actually send 6 from that Texas 4-man look, which normally is a good way to get pressure if they do block a running back. A lot of times you'll be able to still get pressure sending 6 like that. And then another really good way to get pressure out of 6-1, in my opinion, is to run that Texas 4-man stunt with that blitz off of the running back side. But then on the back side, you can actually take both of those guys and drop them into coverage. So you see here, you're going to get kind of a really unique little blitz, and a lot of times this thing will still come in, and that's a send 4 off of 5 out. So those are just some of the best all-around defenses in this game that can do a lot of different things with a lot of different versatility within the defenses that we talked about. We obviously didn't cover every single thing you could do out of Minnesota Vikings playbook and every single thing you could do out of the defenses themselves. Again, if you want to learn that, all of that stuff is broken down in our school community, and that link will be in the description below. For $10, you get access to all of my offensive and defensive ebooks. But I do think that the Minnesota Vikings defense playbook is a super deep playbook that really allows you to play pretty much any style of defense that you want to play to have success on the defensive side of the ball in this game.